Good afternoon all. Welcome to the online class series by Additional Skill Acquisition Program under Higher Education Department, Government of Kerala. Today we are handling the session Comparators, Multivibrators and Waveform Generators from Analog Integrated Circuits, Module 4, Semester 4, Electronics and Communication Engineering. The session will be handled by Dr. Jobimol Jika. She has completed her doctorate from Electrical Engineering Department of IIT Madras in the area of semiconductor device modeling. She has been working with various engineering colleges and IHRD, Government of Kerala for the past 25 years and currently is a professor in the Department of Electronics Engineering, Model Engineering College, Vikakara. Welcome you, ma'am. For the participants, please note that for the first 20 minutes, you will be having a class session and for the next 10 minutes, we'll be having a question answer session. And if you have any doubts, you can make use of the Q&A icon in your window and you may start the session, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Ranimol, for the nice introduction. I congratulate the other team members also, Miss Arya, Miss Lakshmi and Mr. Amit for their wonderful coordination. Also, I would like to appreciate the ASAP for taking such an initiative to provide an online learning facility for our students during this lockdown period. And I'm very glad to be a part of that. So today my topic of presentation is comparators, multivibrators and waveform generators. These are the topics in the fourth module of EC 204 Analog Integrated Circuits. So this is a course for the fourth semester Electronics, BTech Electronics and Communication Engineering students of APJ Abdul Kalam Technological University. So I hope in almost all the colleges, before the lockdown period, the first three modules might have been over. Even if it is not the case, there is no problem because this you can consider as an independent module because independent topic because in the second and third module of your course, you have come across with the linear applications of the op-amp. That is, your op-amp is in the closed loop arrangement. So the amplifier applications, you have come across with the inverting, non-inverting amplifier, summing amplifier, etc. So such portions are the linear applications. There you were using the negative feedback. And anyway, the first module, you have a fundamental idea regarding the op-amp. That is the basic operation of the op-amp as well as its open loop and closed loop arrangement. And this module, we are dealing in these four topics, we are dealing with the non-linear applications of the op-amp. So there is no link with the second and third module. So you can independently attend this session. So the non-linear applications, mainly your op-amp will be in the open loop arrangement. So we'll before there's some problem. So okay. So before starting the session, I will just give an outline of my presentation. So first, I will discuss about the comparators. The comparator, the basic principle of operation, as well as the different types of comparators in your syllabus. Then the multivibrators. You have to learn two types of multivibrators. One is astable and monostable. And I think you have a familiarity with these circuits in your course on electronic circuit theory in the third semester. And the third portion is the waveform generators. In that, you will discuss square wave generator is astable multivibrator itself, so there is no need of further discussion. And we will discuss briefly, quickly go through the triangular wave generator as well as sawtooth wave generator. So this, so many topics are there. So I may not be able to give you the each and every point of the entire topic, but I can surely explain the basic principle of operation and the some derivations also. So first we'll discuss about the comparators. So what is a comparator? A comparator is basically a circuit which compares two voltages at its input and it produces certain output. And based on the output, you can do many other things. So when the The comparator, you can find a lot of applications in your daily life. So when you consider, suppose you consider, for example, you can consider the temperature control of your AC or home heater. You will set a reference temperature, and based on, and you will continuously measure the room temperature. And when you will compare these two temperature, and when the when the measured temperature crosses the reference temperature, it will take the action up accordingly. So that is so there are lot many applications of comparators in your day-to-day life. So now we'll discuss how we can implement a comparator using an op-amp. So since it's very simple, because an op-amp is inherently blessed with two input terminals. So you can give a reference voltage to one of the input terminal, and you can give your measured input to the input voltage to the other terminal. So now, based on the comparison of these two, you will get an output which is either at plus VSAT or minus VSAT. Why it is going to plus VSAT or minus VSAT? Because you know about the op-amp. It is having very high open loop gain. So the open loop, since the open loop gain is very high, and for a typical 741 op-amp, it is 2 into 10 raised to power on 2 lakh is the gain of the op-amp. So when there is a slight change in the input voltage with respect to VREF, or when the input voltage crosses the VREF value, reference value, there will be a quick transition of your there will be a quick transition of the output to plus VSAT. So VSAT plus VSAT is the maximum value possible at the output. It will be very close to the supply voltage plus VCC. And whenever there is a decrease in the input voltage with respect to VREF, it will be switching to minus VSAT. So this is the transfer characteristics of the your comparator. This is the ideal transfer characteristic. Whenever your input is, this is the reference voltage value in the x-axis, and y-axis, the maximum value is VSAT. Output voltage maximum is VSAT, and minimum lower value is minus VSAT. So whenever your Vin is greater than VREF, your output will be switching to plus VSAT. Whenever it is less than VSAT, whenever it is the input voltage is less than VREF, output will be switching to minus VSAT. So this is the ideal characteristics. Practically, there will be this transition will not be this sharp. So the op-amp, in this configuration, you can consider the op-amp as an open loop arrangement with two analog inputs and a digital output. So now we'll see, look into the different types of comparators. One is the inverting. We can classify it inverting and non-inverting comparators. The inverting comparator, from the name itself, we can make sure that the input is applied to the inverting input terminal, and the reference voltage is given to the non-inverting terminal. Whenever your input voltage is greater than the reference, whenever your input voltage is greater than the reference voltage, VID, that is the difference between inverting input. VN represents the inverting input terminal voltage, and VP represents the non-inverting terminal voltage. So VID becomes negative when your input voltage is greater than VREF. So your output will be switching to minus VSAT. You can see the input and output. This is your input waveform, and this is your output waveform. And when your input is less than VREF value, VID is positive. So the slight positive value, so that your output will be switching to plus VSAT. So this way it continues. So next is the non-inverting comparator. In the non-inverting comparator, signal is applied to the non-inverting input terminal, and reference voltage is given to the inverting input terminal. So when your input is greater than the reference voltage marked here. So when your input is greater than the reference voltage, VID becomes slightly positive, so that it is getting multiplied with the open loop gain of the amplifier, so that your output will be plus VSAT. And whenever it is less than, Vin is less than this reference value, VID becomes negative, so that output is going to minus VSAT. So now we'll see one important circuit of the comparator circuit, which is a zero crossing detector. Here the reference voltage is set at 0 volt. This is the reference voltage. Your one terminal is connected to ground point. That way you can set the 0 voltage reference. So whenever this signal crosses the 0 value, you can see whenever the signal crosses the 0 value, there will be a transition. So when your input is greater than 0, your output will be, your VID becomes positive, so that your output becomes plus VSAT. Otherwise, for the negative half cycle of your input signal, your output will be at minus VSAT. So this is a circuit which can convert the sine wave to square wave. So this circuit is again known as the sine wave to square wave converter. One problem associated with the zero crossing detector is that if your signal is associated with some noise signals, say you can see in this diagram, this signal is corrupted with noise. So there can be multiple zero crossings. You can see here. So there is multiple zero crossings. So because of this multiple zero crossings, there will be false output transitions. So that is a problem with the zero crossing detector. And another problem is that for slowly varying signals, so if your frequency is very low, it will take time to cross the reference value or the zero value. So it will be having slow switching speed. So these problems of the zero crossing detector are eliminated in the Schmitt trigger circuit. So Schmitt trigger is actually a comparator which uses a positive feedback or regenerative feedback. And another name of this comparator is the regenerative comparator. And now you can see that this is the Schmitt trigger circuit. This is the feedback circuit consisting of R1 and R2. These are the resistive divider network. So this network will provide a reference voltage here. So whenever your output is at plus VSAT, the reference voltage is R2 divided by R1 plus R2 into VSAT plus VSAT. So that is known as the upper threshold voltage or VUT. And whenever your output voltage is at minus VSAT, the reference voltage set at this point will be minus VSAT into R2 divided by R1 plus R2. So that is known as the lower threshold voltage. So we can see when you are suppose here, I'll show the, and this circuit also will provide a will provide a sine wave to square wave conversion. So the circuit is again known as a squaring circuit. Now we'll see the operation of the circuit. So when the output is at plus VSAT, suppose initially your output is at plus VSAT. So the voltage at this point is R2 divided by R1 plus R2 into VSAT. So that is the reference voltage. When your input exceeds that reference value, so here it is marked as a VUT here. So when your input voltage exceeds that VUT, you can see that here we have applied our input in the inverting input terminal. So when your input exceeds VUT, this differential input voltage become negative, so that your output will be switching to minus VSAT. And whenever there is, and now the output is switching to minus VSAT, and now the output is at minus VSAT. So what will be the reference voltage here? That reference voltage is R2 divided by R1 plus R2 into minus VSAT. So that's a negative value that is shown here. So that is the VLT, lower threshold voltage. So now the signal voltage will make a transition only after it crosses this value. So when your signal voltage is slightly less than this point, what happens? Your differential voltage becomes slightly positive, so that your output will be going to plus VSAT. So now again the reference voltage is set as VUT. Now the next transition will be at this point. So this way the circuit will make transitions, and you can see that this also provides sine wave to square wave conversion. Because of this, this is actually VUT minus VLT. That region there is no transition, and that is known as the dead band. Because of this dead band, the circuit exhibits the transfer characteristics of the circuit exhibits hysteresis. So hysteresis, you can see this. This is the transfer characteristics of the circuit. When you can compare these two waveforms and make it clear. So when your input increases from 0 to VUT, so at that point, when your signal value input crosses VUT, you can see a negative transition. So transition to minus VSAT is the problem. Is a plus VSAT. So it's actually minus VSAT. So this changes to minus VSAT. So at VUT, this switches to minus VSAT. And when your signal value increases till its peak value VM, that it will continue. The output will continue in the minus VSAT itself. Again, coming back from the peak to 0, the output will be continuing its position in minus VSAT itself till the point of VLT. So you can see till the VLT value, the circuit remains in its minus VSAT value. So it will continue in the minus VSAT value till VLT. And after that, what happens when the signal value crosses the crosses the VLT value, there will be a transition to plus VSAT. So at this point, you can find a transition to plus VSAT so that the output will be reaching the plus VSAT. And again, if your signal will be coming down to the minus VM, the negative maximum value. So that value also your output remains in plus VSAT. Again, coming back to 0 till VUT, it remains in its plus VSAT condition. Output remains in plus VSAT. So you can see this mirror. So this way you can find a hysteresis portion for the characteristics. And with this, because of this, the noise interference will not affect the system. So this hysteresis voltage is actually the difference between VUT and VLT. So this is the difference. So VUT and VLT, that will be R2 divided by R1 plus R2 into 2 VSAT. Now, so this circuit provides provides noise immunity because here the transition takes place at this point. So you can see the noise affected signal. So the transition will be taking place at the VUT point at this point, and next transition will be taking place only at this point. So because of this deadband or this hysteresis effect, you can find transitions happens only at this point. So even if your signal is affected by noise, there will not be any problem of false transitions. And another thing is that because of the positive feedback, the output switches faster compared to the zero crossing detector. So now, before the first break, I think I will quickly go through the first multivibrator, that is the unstable multivibrator. So the unstable multivibrator is you're familiar with the unstable multivibrator. It is a square wave oscillator, and it is having two states, which is both quasi-stable state. So circuit cannot remain in that state for long duration. It will, based on a capacitor charging, it will change its state from one state to the other. So both states are quasi-stable states, and this is this circuit is again known as the free-running multivibrator. So here you can see there is a like you have seen in the comparator Schmitt trigger circuit, you have a positive feedback network consisting of R1 and R2, which will provide a reference voltage here. So whenever and at the negative terminal, a capacitor is connected from the output through a resistor, and the capacitor voltage is given to the negative input terminal or inverting input terminal. So this is actually an application of the comparator. So the capacitor voltage will be compared with the reference voltage here. So we will explain. So the reference, when your output is at plus VSAT, you can see the voltage at this point will be plus beta VSAT. And when your output is at minus VSAT, the voltage at this point will be minus beta VSAT, where beta is equal to R2 divided by R1 plus R. Same thing as we have seen in the Schmitt trigger circuit. So now we'll explain the operation of the circuit. So it's very simple. Your suppose initially because of the non-ideal offset voltage is present, whenever during power on, your output will be either in plus VSAT or minus VSAT. Suppose initially your output is at plus VSAT. So these are the waveforms. This is the output waveform, and this is the voltage across the capacitor. This waveform represents this red waveform represents the voltage across the capacitor, and this represents the output waveform. Suppose initially your output is at plus VSAT. So what happens? What will be the voltages present at all at every point? So when your output is at plus VSAT, the non-inverting terminal will be having a voltage of plus beta VSAT. So that is shown here. So this is a plus beta VSAT. So now what happens to the capacitor? What the capacitor will do? When it finds a plus VSAT at this point, the capacitor will start to charge towards that voltage, because we can consider it as a capacitor charging network with an applied voltage at one end. So here you know that for the op-amp there is no current flowing through the terminal towards the op-amp. So this will be charging. This is the charging network. So when your capacitor output, when your output is at plus VSAT, the capacitor will start to charge. And what happens then? When the capacitor voltage reaches plus beta VSAT, there is a transition, because you are now, when it just crosses the beta VSAT value, your inverting input terminal will find a slightly greater potential compared to non-inverting terminal potential, so that your net differential input voltage become negative, so that the output will be switching to minus VSAT. So now we can see the output is at minus VSAT. So when the output is at minus VSAT, what is the polarity at this point? This point you will find a voltage of minus beta VSAT. That is R2 divided by R1 plus R2 into minus VSAT. So now this point, it is a minus VSAT, minus beta VSAT, and since here the potential is minus beta VSAT, sorry, here the output potential is minus VSAT, the capacitor will discharge and recharges towards minus VSAT. So the capacitor waveform will be recharging towards minus VSAT. So at this point, and since the reference is minus beta VSAT, when the capacitor voltage crosses that reference value, the voltage at this point becomes slightly greater than this point, so that your output becomes plus VSAT. Output will be switching to plus VSAT. So you can see that this way the oscillation takes place in the stable multivibrator. And since you are using the same capacitor, the capacitor is charging through the same resistor, the on-time charging and discharging of the capacitor is taking place through the same resistor. You can find the on-time is same as the off-time. So both will be having the same period. So it will be T by 2. So you can easily derive an expression for the frequency of oscillation of the unstable multivibrator from the basic capacitor charging equation. Here the capacitor charging equation is VCT is equal to V final plus V initial minus V final into e raised to minus T by RC. This equation you might have used in many places, I think. So when the time, consider this time period, I am taking this time period, that is the half of the period, so that is T by 2. So during this, what is the initial voltage of the capacitor? The initial voltage of the capacitor is minus beta VSAT. Vn is minus beta VSAT. And what is the final voltage of the capacitor? V final. V final is actually the maximum voltage to which the capacitor is trying to charge. So V final will be the actual capacitor voltage will reach only at infinity. So V final is the capacitor. So capacitor voltage it reaches only at infinity. So the capacitor to which voltage the capacitor is trying to charge, that is the V final. So that is plus VSAT. So it is trying to charge towards VSAT. So in between, at T is equal to T by 2. At T is equal to T by 2, what happens? Your capacitor voltage is beta VSAT. So T is equal to T by 2, your capacitor voltage becomes beta VSAT. And when you substitute these values in the expression, basic expression, you can find an expression. You can get the expression T is equal to 2 RC log 1 plus beta by 1 minus beta. Or that is the frequency of oscillation will be reciprocal of that is 1 by 2 RC log 1 plus beta by 1 minus. So these are, so now we'll discuss about the monostable multivibrator. So the monostable multivibrator, as the name implies, we can see that there are for the monostable multivibrator there is one stable state. Mono means one, so one stable state, and the other one is quasi-stable state. So if you have a if you have a stable state in your multivibrator, what is the requirement? You need a trigger signal to change from the stable state to the quasi-stable state. So for changing from the stable state to quasi-stable state, you need a trigger pulse. So that is an additional part for the monostable multivibrator. And again, the quasi-stable to stable state, changing from the quasi-stable to stable state, you need a capacitor charging. So this type of circuits are used for providing delay in circuits, and it is also known as one shot. So now I will explain the structure of the circuit of the monostable multivibrator. Then I will explain the operation. With waveforms, I will explain the operation. So here we can just discard this portion is actually for this the capacitor, resistor, and this diode is actually for providing the trigger signal. So this is a triggering circuit. Here you are providing the trigger signal. Okay. So you can actually this portion. So this portion is actually for providing the trigger. And here you can see that this point is exactly same as that of the stable multivibrator. Here you are providing a reference voltage. Whenever your output is at plus Vsat, the reference voltage will be plus beta Vsat. Otherwise, for minus Vsat output value, the reference voltage will be at minus Vsat, minus beta Vsat. Now, the additional component in the monostable multivibrator compared to the unstable is that there is a diode placed in this path. So here you are placing a diode across the capacitor. So what is the if you are placing such a diode here? What will happen? And think for a while. So if you are placing a diode here, so whenever your output is at plus Vsat, your capacitor will charge, and the maximum charging voltage of the capacitor during that period will be limited by the diode voltage, because in that case diode is forward biased. You can see when your output is at plus Vsat, the diode will be forward biased. So this will hold the maximum value of the maximum value possible with the diode is only the capacitor volt. The maximum value possible with the diode, that is VC, is only the diode voltage, that is 0.7. And during that time, you can see that your output is, when your output is at plus Vsat, the voltage at this point is, voltage at that point will be plus beta Vsat. At this time, your voltage is at this point is plus beta Vsat again. At that time, your voltage at this point is plus beta Vsat. Okay, so it's not very easy to write. So anyway, so when your output is at plus Vsat, the voltage at the non-inverting terminal is plus beta Vsat, and this point it is Vd, and this voltage will be greater than the diode voltage always. When you are setting in such a way that your beta Vsat is always greater than the diode voltage. Diode voltage will be around 0.7 volt only. So now, can you think? Can you tell me which will be at plus? Which is the stable state and which is the quasi-stable state of the multivibrator? We can think for a while. When your output is at plus Vsat, you have only two states for your circuit. Only one is plus Vsat and the other one is minus Vsat. So when your output is at plus Vsat, reference voltage at the non-inverting terminal will be plus beta Vsat, and the voltage at the inverting terminal is the diode voltage, that is 0.7. And this diode voltage, that is 0.7, is remaining constant there, and this also remains constant, and this and the beta Vsat is always greater than VD. So obviously, I think you might have got the answer. The stable state of the circuit is the output positive, output at plus Vsat. The output, when the output is at plus Vsat, you can see that your capacitor. So you can just tell you the waveforms. These three waveforms. Just to discard about these waveforms. These waveforms. One represents this green waveform represents the output, and this brown or red waveform represents the capacitor charging waveform, that is VC. Now these are the trigger signals at various points. I'll explain that. So first you look into this graph. So when your output is at plus Vsat, initially assume that your output is at plus Vsat. That time we are setting a voltage at this point as beta. I mean, the voltage set at this point is beta Vsat plus beta Vsat, and the voltage across the diode will be, that is across the capacitor, that is the voltage present at the inverting terminal, that is VD. VD is around 0.7. You know that the voltage across the diode is conducting diode is around 0.7 only. So VD is less than beta Vsat, and that both voltages remains constant. There is no chance of changing the state, and this state is known as the stable state of the circuit. So this is the stable state of the circuit. Then for changing from the stable state to the other state, you need to provide a trigger signal. So now we'll look into the trigger part. So here the trigger, since you are setting this trigger signal, so since you are setting in the stable condition, your reference voltage is a plus value, that is plus beta Vsat, you have to give a negative trigger here. So this negative trigger, you can see it is varying. You can see at time I am applying the trigger signal at time t is equal to 0, and this trigger signal is varying from 0 volt to minus V1 volt. So that maximum value is minus V1. And these type of circuitry you might have seen in many circuits. These are the triggering circuit. So C dash and R dash represents the differentiating circuit, a passive differentiator. And what is the output of what is the voltage at this point when you are giving a trigger like this? The output of the differentiator, the voltage at this point is the waveform shown here. So it will be having a negative spike as well as a positive spike. And for this circuit, we need only negative trigger. So this diode will stop the positive value. Positive. So it will only pass. The diode is connected in this way. At this point, you will get a negative trigger only. So now, when this trigger comes, so Vsat, so the voltage at this point is actually beta Vsat. And when the negative trigger comes, whenever this value is less than 0.7, so you can see that beta Vsat will be now changing to a negative, changing to or beta Vsat is coming down because of the negative trigger here. So whenever this value is less than 0.7, the non-inverting terminal will be having a lower potential compared to inverting terminal, so that the circuit transition takes place from plus Vsat to minus Vsat. So now we can see, because of the trigger signal, the output will be having a transition from plus Vsat to minus Vsat. So it will be changing from plus Vsat to minus Vsat. Now, what is the situation? When your output is at minus Vsat, the reference voltage will be changing to, and now once your trigger signal is given, it will, I mean, there is no disturbance with the trigger signal. It will not come again, right? So next time when you are applying the trigger, then only it will be present. So after that, the trigger is absent. So voltage at this point will be minus beta Vsat. You can see, because the output is now changing to minus Vsat. The voltage, the reference voltage is now minus beta Vsat at this point, and there is no trigger signal. Now, what happens to the capacitor now, or what happens to the diode now? When the output voltage is at minus Vsat, what is the biasing of the diode? The diode will be reverse biased. When your output is at minus Vsat, you can see that the diode will be in the reverse bias condition. The reverse bias diode can be considered as an open circuit. So it will behave exactly like that of a stable multivibrator. The behavior will be same. So the capacitor will charge in this is because it is a minus Vsat. The capacitor will be recharging towards minus Vsat. So you can see that the capacitor is discharging and charging towards minus Vsat, and in between, when it crosses the minus beta Vsat point, what happens when it crosses the minus beta Vsat? The non-inverting terminal potential becomes slightly less than the non-inverting terminal potential, so that the output become positive. When your positive terminal potential is greater than negative terminal potential, the output becomes positive. So at this point, whenever the capacitor discharging waveform, whenever that value crosses this reference value, your output become positive. And the output plus Vsat is the stable condition. So it will remain in the stable state till next trigger pulse comes. So this quasi-stable period or quasi-stable operation is considered. You can design the quasi-stable, or you can determine the quasi-stable operation period by designing your circuit components RNC. So that way you can provide time delays in your circuits, as well as this type of pulses can be used as circuit can be used as a gating circuit. In certain cases, you need to pass some data. So such cases you can use it as a gating circuit also. So now we can get an expression for the monostable multivibrator from the same capacitor charging equation. Here, in that case, the pulse width expression can be derived using the same charging expression. Here we are using the discharging waveform. So here you know that the V initial is, so the discharging starting from 0.7 volt, that is diode voltage. So V initial is 0.7, that can be approximated to 0 volt. It's very close to 0. So we can, for easy derivation, you can approximate it to 0. And V final is minus Vsat. V final is final voltage towards the capacitor is trying to charge. That is V final voltage. And in between, when it reaches minus beta Vsat, at t is equal to, at time t is equal to t, that is a pulse width, capacitor voltage reaches minus Vsat. It is Vc equal to minus beta Vsat. So substituting these values, you will get the pulse width expression T is equal to RC log 1 by 1 minus beta. So this is also very important expression. We can define any pulse width using this expression. So now we will just move on to the wave generators. Okay, here, and actually the square wave generator is a stable multivibrator. So now we will discuss about the triangular wave generator. So the triangular wave generator is actually can made it in two ways. One is the you can, if your square wave is there with you, that is if you have a stable multivibrator, that square wave, if you are integrating, you can produce a triangular wave. So that's a very simple circuitry. With a square wave at the input of the integrator, you can get a triangular wave. But this circuit, so this is the stable part and this is the integrated part. We can see that one problem with the circuit is that you have too many circuit components. So five resistors and two capacitors. And another problem. So the circuit components are more. And another problem with the circuit that you don't have an independent control of the frequency of the triangular wave. So the frequency of the triangular wave depends on the frequency of the stable multivibrator. And if your frequency is becoming, if your frequency, suppose your frequency becomes high, then the peak value of the triangular wave becomes less. So that these are the problems with the circuit. So another type of circuit is used for this is the more popular circuit of the triangular wave generator. So this is the okay. This is the waveform of the circuit. So whenever this is your stable multivibrator output and the integrator, this is the integrator part. When the output, when your stable output is at plus Vsat, your integrator will be a negative going RAM. When your input is at plus, your integrator is given at minus inverting terminal, so the integrator will be a negative going RAM. And for positive, when your stable output is at plus Vsat, your stable output is at minus Vsat, your integrator will be a positive going RAM. So this way you will get a, from the square wave, you will get a triangular wave. So that is a simple circuit. I mean, the circuit is having too many components. So we are using another circuit for the triangular wave generator. So here actually first stage is a comparator stage. The first stage you can see it's actually a comparator with a zero reference value at the inverting terminal. And the non-inverting terminal, you have the same voltage divider network. But one difference is that the voltage at this point, voltage at the non-inverting terminal is set by the output of the first stage, that is the comparator, as well as the output of the second stage, that is an integrator stage. Second stage is again an integrator stage. So the first stage output as well as the second stage output will determine the voltage at this point. So we'll explain the operation, we'll discuss the operation. So here you can see that the first stage, that this comparator will always compare. It will keep on comparing the output of the comparator, keep on comparing the voltage at this point with a reference voltage, that is a zero voltage at the inverting terminal. So you can see the comparator having only two states. When your comparator output is at plus Vsat, the output of the integrator will be a negative going RAM. And so whenever your signal value varies from, so this is a constant value, but the integrator output is a varying value. So these two, so the comparator always compares the summation of the voltage at the, so we'll see the voltage at this point Vp. What is the voltage at Vp? Vp is equal to V0 dash into, so here you have to apply the superposition principle, V0 dash into R2 divided by R1 plus R2 plus V0 into R1 divided by R1 plus R2. That way you can find the voltage at Vp at any instant. At any instant of time, the voltage at Vp is equal to V0 dash into R2 divided by R1 plus R2 plus V0 into R1 divided by R1 plus R2. So that is the by superposition you can write that equation. And suppose your comparator output is having a value minus VRAM. Suppose my comparator is having a value of minus VRAM. When your output of the, comparator output is plus Vsat and your integrator will be a negative going RAM. And suppose your integrator output reaches minus VRAM. So I can write the expression Vsat into, instead of V0 dash, I can substitute Vsat into R2 divided by R1 plus R2 minus VRAM into R1 divided by R1 plus R2. So this is a minus VRAM value. So it is minus VRAM into R1 divided by R1 plus R2, that is equal to, suppose that value is equal to 0. Suppose when your output of the integrator reaches minus VRAM, if you are adding these two, this is a positive value and this is a negative value. When you are adding these two, if it becomes 0, that time you can find a transition of the signal, transition of the output of the comparator, because when it just crosses this value, so Vn is zero potential, Vn is at ground potential, and minus VRAM, if it just exceeds that value, it will become slightly the Vp, this potential at this point becomes slightly negative, so that so Vp is slightly less than Vn, so the comparator will change to minus Vsat. So the maximum value possible with the triangular wave is the minus VRAM value. At that point, your transition takes place. So now, when your this transition takes place from output of the comparator, you have a transition from plus Vsat to minus Vsat at that time. So now the comparator output becomes minus Vsat. The integrator will be a positive going RAM, and when it reaches plus VRAM, you can see the same situation comes. This will becomes plus VRAM and this becomes minus VSAT, so that the output is again crossing this 0 volt, so that another transition takes place from minus VSAT to plus VSAT. So this is the action of the triangular wave, and you can this is the working of the triangular wave generator, and you can easily derive the expression for frequency of oscillation from the triangular. I mean, from these equations. That is VP. That is peak value of VP is the potential voltage at the non-inverting terminal. VP is equal to, you have this expression, VSAT into R2 divided by R1 plus R2 minus VRAMP into R1 divided by R1 plus R2. R2 is equal to 0 volt, and VRAMP is equal to, so from this expression I can get the value VRAMP is equal to R2 by R1 into VSAT. If you're simplifying, you will get that. And what is V out peak to peak? Peak to peak value of the triangular wave is VRAMP minus VRAMP. So it will be 2 VRAMP, that is equal to 2 into R2 divided by R1 plus R2 into VSAT. So from the integrator expression, you know that the output of the triangular wave is actually based on the integrator principle. So you can write the integrator expression. So V0 peak to peak is equal to 1 by minus 1 by R3C. I think in your PPT, okay, it is R3C. So it will be minus 1 by R3C into integral of 0 T by 2. And this period, total period is T, and this is T by 2. So it is integration time is 0 to T by 2 minus VSAT into dt. The input is minus VSAT. So from this you can get the expression. You can simplify, after simplification, you can get an expression for T is equal to 4 R3 R2C divided by R1. For frequency of oscillation of the triangular wave is R1 divided by 4 R3 R2 into C. So these are all about the triangular wave generator, and I can quickly tell a few concepts about the sawtooth wave generator. Sawtooth wave is basically, what is the difference between a triangular wave and a sawtooth wave? Sawtooth wave is not having equal on and off time. Triangular wave, you have equal time width for the positive going and negative going RAM, whereas for the sawtooth wave you have unequal pulse width. So you can see the a triangular wave generator can be converted to a sawtooth wave generator by a simple technique. You can connect a variable DC source at the non-inverting terminal of the integrator. In the case of a triangular wave, you are connecting the non-inverting terminal to ground potential. Instead of that, for a sawtooth wave generator, you can connect that point to a variable DC voltage. And depending on, and when your pointer, you can see when the pointer is right at the center of the potentiometer, the voltage, and this potentiometer is connected between plus VCC and minus VCC. So you can, by varying the pointer, you can provide either a positive voltage or negative voltage to the terminal. And when the pointer is at the middle of the potentiometer, middle of the this, so you are providing a 0 volt, so that it will be exactly behaving as a triangular wave generator. And if your pointer is moving towards either minus V or plus VCC, you can add some positive or negative DC value here, and that will insert certain voltage, negative or positive voltage at the output of the integrator. So along with the integrator signal, you can find a DC value here. And suppose your I'll explain with this waveform. If you're providing a voltage close to slightly, if your pointer is slightly moving towards minus V, or you are giving a negative voltage here, you are inserting at the output you are inserting a negative voltage value. So along with your negative going RAM signal, along with your integrator output, it's a negative going signal. There is already a negative voltage present. So time taken to reach the minus VRAM is small. So within a small time, you can reach the minus VRAM. So once it reaches the minus VRAM, you know from the previous expression, the transition takes place to plus transition takes place from the output transition of this comparator takes place from plus VSAT to minus VSAT. And now when it is in minus VSAT, the output of the integrator will be a positive going RAM. And since there is a negative voltage already present here, the to reach the minus VRAM, the comparator, the integrator will take more time to reach the minus VRAM. Reach the plus VRAM. So that is why you are getting unequal time width or time for positive and negative going RAM for the sawtooth wave generator. So you are getting a sawtooth wave. So if your pointer is moving more towards the plus supply, you can see that the here you can see that in this case your on time or positive going RAM is having a higher width. In the other case, you can see the opposite. So that your on time will be, if your pointer is moving towards plus VCC, you can see that your on time will be greater than off time. Okay.
Okay, ma'am, that was a clear session. Ma'am, we have a very few doubts from few students. I may be
Okay.
asking one by one. There's a question from Akshay Kannan. It is that is UT and LT reference voltage?
Yes. I'll go back to that slide. 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay, that is slide number. Okay. This slide. So actually, here VUT and VLT is represents the reference voltage. So that reference voltage is made by we are not giving an external. That reference voltage is set by the circuit itself because we are providing a potential divider R1 and R2. So the comparator is having only two states, plus VSAT and minus VSAT for the output signal. So when the output is at plus VSAT, so when the output is at plus VSAT, suppose your output is at plus VSAT, you can see the reference voltage. So here, as you know, the current flowing towards the terminal is 0. There is no current flow. So this can be considered independently as a potential divider network. So Vout will be split into R2 and across R2 and R1, and the voltage at this point will be Vout into R2 divided by R1 plus R2. And when the output is at plus VSAT, that voltage will be VSAT into plus VSAT into R2 divided by R1 plus R2. So that will be the voltage present at this point. That is a positive voltage, and that is the upper threshold voltage. That is the reference voltage. So when your output, suppose initially your output is at plus VSAT, it will remain, this reference voltage will be VUT. So this is the reference voltage, and when your signal crosses that value, your output will come down. And once the output of the comparator is at minus VSAT, you can see the reference voltage will be minus beta VSAT. So that is the lower threshold voltage. That is again the comparator reference voltage. So the reference will switch between plus beta VSAT or plus or VUT and VLT whenever your output is at plus VSAT and minus VSAT. So switching of the reference voltage also.
Okay, ma'am. Shall I go to the next question?
Hello?
Hello? Ma'am, it was clear. Shall I go for the next question?
Hello. Okay. Yes.
And that is that she did not understand, here it's Bibin Baiju, that he did not understand how did VD become positive and negative depending upon the input voltages that was applied to the non-inverting terminal of comparator.
Okay. So why is VID, right? Yeah, 1 minute. In which slide she is asking that question? Okay, I will take the initial slides. Okay. Is it okay?
Ma'am, can I towards the end?
Okay.
VD, how did VD become positive and negative depending upon the input voltage?
VD means VID, right? VID. So it is a differential input voltage. VID. Okay. That is written like Okay. What is our question? Why? We,
How did
can I
VD become positive and negative depending upon the input voltages that was applied to the non-inverting terminal of comparator?
Okay. So I can explain with this circuit. I think this is zero circuit. I can explain. I think because if VID is the difference between non-inverting terminal potential and inverting terminal potential. And I hope you are clear about the op-amp basic concepts of the op-amp, where your non-inverting terminal potential, if you are applying a signal to the non-inverting terminal potential, suppose you are giving a signal to the non-inverting terminal potential, your output becomes positive because your op-amp will be having two differential, many differential amplifier stages, and in that differential amplifier stages, you can find you will be having a two op-amps connected. In the differential arrangement, two transistors connected in the differential arrangement, and one terminal will be giving a positive. When you are applying a signal to one terminal, that will give a same phase output in the same phase. So non-inverting terminal means whatever signal you are giving to this input, the same polarity you can find at the output. And when you are giving a signal to the inverting terminal without giving any signal at the non-inverting terminal, the output will become negative, or it will become the out of phase signal. So if you are giving a signal voltage here, Vn, that is the inverting terminal, and non-inverting terminal, we are giving a slightly greater potential, the differential voltage between these two terminals will become positive. You can consider it as a positive, or your more potential you are applying at the non-inverting terminal. Higher potential will be at the non-inverting terminal, so that the output will be having the same polarity. So your VID, you can consider the VID. So you can consider VID as the difference between VID, polarity of VID. You can, if you want, you can mark the polarity of VID as like this. You can mark it.
Ma'am, he have given another explanation for that. In non-inverting comparator, when the battery was used, there was a bit constant line in the waveform, and then only switching took place. This wasn't observed in zero crossing detector.
So pardon, shall I? Can you
You have
explain that?
given that in non-inverting comparator, when the battery
Okay.
was used, there was a
Okay.
bit constant line in the waveform,
Okay.
and then only
Oh.
switching took place.
Yeah, that is the reference voltage.
And this
What?
wasn't observed in zero crossing detector.
Oh.
This is
Okay. Okay. That is nothing. That is a reference voltage. So in this case, okay, non-inverting comparator he is mentioning. So if we are giving a reference voltage with the battery or any, normally we won't. Normally it will be some potential divider network you are connecting to the this reference voltage. As reference voltage also you can use a battery connected. For simplicity, I am drawing this diagram, and this reference voltage is actually set here. You are giving a reference voltage, and when your input is above that reference voltage, then only your output transition takes place. So this is the reference voltage, and now when your input voltage is slightly above that, or it just crosses that value, you can see that the inverting terminal, compared to the inverting terminal, your non-inverting terminal will be having a slightly higher potential. That is, VID becomes slightly positive. So, is it clear? So that is actually the inherent property of the op-amp, that the whatever signal you are giving to the non-inverting terminal will be amplified and with the same phase. So the difference between the signal value and the reference value, even if it is very small, because of the high open loop gain, it will be amplified, and we are getting the positive voltage at the output. And if you want to get a more, what is the problem with that? So, I'm not getting the.
okay,
So
ma'am.
that is
Okay, ma'am.
that is
Then we
actually the. Okay, that is actually the
then
reference voltage set here. So zero crossing detector reference is this point. Reference is 0. So there is no such line. So for the zero crossing detector, the reference is, instead of this reference is set at 0. So there is no such line present in the zero crossing detector. Now is it clear? So this is the reference voltage. Vref is equal to 0 for the zero crossing detector.
Okay, ma'am. Hope
it
it's clear. We have
Okay.
one more question. How
Okay.
does the equation VUT minus VLT equal to R2 by that equation R2 by R1 plus R2 into 2 VSAT comes
Okay.
in the hysteresis topic?
Okay. So hysteresis actually is you might have been familiar with the magnetic hysteresis and all. Whenever your transitions are not through the same line, if your positive transition is this path, takes a path like this, and then reverse transition takes another path, that is known as the hysteresis. And we can consider it as a memory effect or something. So with this hysteresis, so the hysteresis voltage is actually the difference between VUT and VLT. So this is actually, I will just go. So this is actually the hysteresis voltage. VH is known as VH. So this is the hysteresis voltage. That is the difference between VUT and VLT. So that is why the difference, if you are taking the difference, now is it clear? So VUT is equal to VSAT into R2 divided by R1 plus R2 minus of minus VSAT. Minus of minus this, minus VLT. And since it is a negative value, so you will get 2 VSAT into R2 divided by R1 plus R2.
Okay, can you please explain the meaning of quasi-stable state?
Okay. Okay, I'll go to the stable multivibrator. So quasi-stable means it's not a stable condition. The state cannot remain in the stable state, in that state for more time. So that is why it is not stable, not unstable also. It's a quasi-stable means it will remain certain period for that, and based on the capacitor, some action of the circuit, it will change its automatically. It will change its state. That's why it is known as quasi-stable state.
Okay, ma'am. What is the use of R in monostable multivibrator? Ma'am,
this is a monostable multivibrate. Yeah.
Okay.
This is the monostable multivibrate circuit. Okay. So, what is the question? What is the
What is
question?
the use of R? What is the use of R in monostable multivibrator?
This
think
R,
is R.
that R. Okay, that is actually the for capacitor charging that resistor is required. We cannot charge a capacitor without a resistor, so it will be having infinite current flowing. So always you will charge a capacitor through a resistor, right? So whenever your output is at some positive voltage or at some negative voltage level, the capacitor will charge through a resistor. So that is the basic capacitor charging network. So I can, shall I draw the circuit? So this is the, we want to charge a capacitor. Obviously there should be a resistor associated. So if you are providing a DC voltage here, suppose I am connecting a battery here, I can charge the capacitor through a resistor. So always there should be a resistor in the charging part. Otherwise, in the starting, infinite current will flow. So that will damage the circuit.
Okay, ma'am.
Is it clear? Is it?
I think it's clear, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. One more question. How to design a schemate trigger with output swing limited to positive direction only?
Output swing limited to. So output swing limited. Okay, I'll take this Schmitt trigger circuit. You can. Okay. So this is the Schmitt trigger circuit. So output of the Schmitt trigger is actually depending on your supply voltage. They are asking about the reference voltage or whether they are asking about the reference voltage or the
No,
output voltage.
ma'am, nothing
Ah.
specified like that.
Mhm.
It's asked how to design a CMET trigger with output swing limited to positive direction only. That's the question.
Output swing limited to. Then you have to use a, I think you have to use an op-amp with a single power supply. So if the VSAT plus VSAT and minus VSAT will be the output voltage swing, that depends on the supply voltages. If you are giving plus VCC here, your output will be, the plus VSAT will be a value very close to plus VCC. Maybe if you are using a plus to minus power supply, plus or minus 15 volt supply for the op-amp, your plus VSAT will be very close to plus 14. So maybe some slight difference in the voltage drop across the components. And the saturation value, due to the saturation of the transistor, there will be a slight value, a slight difference from the plus VCC value, and minus is side will be very close to minus VA. So normally we are giving the dual power supply, and the single power supply op-amps are also there. And if you want to limit the level, I think that is the solution. So this is actually depends on the supply voltages, output swing. And if you, we can, another thing you can compare, you can make the reference voltages to one side, either plus VSAT, VUT and VLT may not be at the plus side as well as minus side. It can be in one side. VUT, you can make a VUT at as both VUT as VLT can both positive or both can be negative. That way you can design. In that case, you have to give a supply. If you are giving, instead of ground, if you are giving a power supply reference voltage here, then you can control your VUT as well as VT. I think that may be the question. Is it? Or whether the question is.
I think it will be clear, ma'am.